like when you predict your favorite artist was gonna do something and then they did it. And then like, you're like, oh my gosh, like they did it. How the creator working with SCAD art students, that made me feel so, and even just being like in Black art students, but just like, that made me feel so good because we get overlooked. Like, and that's my main thing is like they did it. Last night when I was taking my notes, this is exactly why I added this section. I said, we all hear about the student athletes in the state schools, say in the community college or in the Ivy League schools, etc. schools, but we don't hear about the student athlete in the art school. That's why I call it new narrative unlock, because it's a new narrative that you don't hear. You don't actually understand the fields you're working at, because you can't just wing it being in the arts. And I think that that's just that I wanted to really push that narrative out there and say, you can't just be like, I'm just gonna be a director. You can, but there's a lot of things you need to study, even if you're doing it by yourself. Like, I couldn't just say like, I'm just gonna interview automatically. There's certain things that unless I want to be like everybody else, that I wanted to do and add. Like, look up how many of the people that you guys praise are in the fashion industry that went to study in the arts to become the designers and the people we love today, or study somewhere. Whether they like the experience of college or not is another thing. Or how many artists like a Sweetie or Megan Thee Stallion who still wanted to pursue and finish in their degrees. That's the part we don't talk about. I feel like we glamorize the fact that you can do everything yourself, but it's up to you. Like, it's it's all up to your opinion, but I've made it like a main thing that like, I just think there's a gap. And that dream collab really paved the way in that. This video is an hour. It's an hour where you're gonna really hear everything under the sun. And as you've heard, like, this is so much yapping. Girl's gotta get hydrated. I've been yapping so much. Really necessary for me to give you guys the tea before I start posting people's full interviews and you're like, whoa, I didn't know that I was out here doing interviews with her peers. Yep, I just wanted to do a proper rollout. So this is my rollout. My little Las Vegas fit. And so before going into the next segment to explain my inspo for my look today this is a Las Vegas t-shirt that I got in Vegas. And this is my mother's necklace, which is like my mom's lucky necklace. I feel like I talked about it a little bit earlier. My choker, my two earrings. This is Melanie Sani. Highly suggest. I've worn the same brand on my pink sweatsuit that I have my profile image, and my hoop earring. And then I have my little ear cuffs. Obviously my braids have curls to them now, which you can't even really see in this angle, but yeah. And I see big things with just even being in Vegas, and yeah, different exciting things hopefully happening in the future that relate to going to Vegas. Because that Vegas trip I went on, you guys will see it, but it was everything. I loved it so much. I never thought I was gonna have that much fun, to be honest. I had so much fun. Top 10 with the mind maps, okay? And the whiteboards, okay? Okay. So mind maps based off of the current subjects and categories. This specific mind map style is really stemming from the types of questions I've asked and why I asked them. So number one is the idea of being at an art school in the South. So like art school in the South, what stems from that? I don't know which color you guys should I do. Perspective of being in an art school in the South is like, unlike the North, like northern art schools where you have New York, you have Atlanta. So like I had mentioned earlier, you're getting people from like all different parts of the world. And it's just, like I had mentioned also earlier, Savannah campus versus Atlanta campus, you get different types and different energies. So my main gist in this is, first of all, connection. because let's unite it. So first is connections. So like the connections that you meet on campus and how that like affect you and you grow and all and change depending on the different types of people, which I'll get into later. And then classes, because we're in an art school and we're in a quarter system, and our class setup is in studio classes and lecture classes. Sometimes when we're talking like as students and stuff, I really like, to be honest, just kind of teaching you all, people outside looking in, like some of the slang or like some of, I guess, SCAD slang or things that like we know like what we're talking about. So I know like in one video I talk about, oh, like you're taking foundations, you're taking drawing, you're taking this, you're taking that. So like obviously like other schools, like there's foundations and gen eds, but a lot of the times foundations are studio classes. What's a studio class? Don't mind if I say, like, so studio classes are essentially like open classrooms where you're focusing on a specific physical or digital process, versus how lecture class setup, and this even affects like the classroom environment. It's not just say like drawing being considered studio because you're in like, you're with easels and stuff. Studios can also be considered for my advertising and branding class. That's a studio, versus an art history class, which is more lecture, a PowerPoint, engaging, taking tests and quizzes. So a lot of times, even if I'm mentioning like tests and quizzes, even though this is a project-based school, it's because I'm referencing majority of the time, depending on the major, to be honest, that it's stemming from lecture classes or foundation classes, which everybody has to take. So the classes and the connections that you meet, that also stems with like being in an art school, and specifically the South, because it's like you're in Atlanta, so you've got people that are like, okay, I'm here on campus, but you know, maybe I go home. There's a lot of people I definitely in season 1 from Georgia. Like when I did this, I wanted to meet people and find new ways into meeting and connecting with people, and just short and small snippets that all connect with. Some of these aren't always connected to being in the South, but being in the South is like, it's just different. Like, it's just, you have Southern hospitality, you got good food, you got, you know, you gotta make sure you keep yourself focused. That's really the main thing. Like, you gotta be focused when you're here, because if you like to go outside, we have things all around the corner in our area. So that's a big difference between Savannah and Atlanta. Like, Savannah's very like how I was when I was in Edgewater. It was just like a sleepy town. Like, the whole town, even though the town like in the campus I'm at is majority Georgia Tech, to be honest, or Georgia State, there's so much to do. So it's good to be proactive, and you know, I'm a social butterfly, so at least for now, that didn't happen overnight. It took a lot of time. But yeah, and also like schedules. Sometimes I asked my peers like what their schedule were, just to give you guys the perspective of like, there's 8 a.m. classes, 8 to 10:30 classes, and then there's classes all the way from 8 to 10:30 p.m. classes. And that can range from both lecture and studio, and we all use the same processor and like signing up for our classes and yada 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 yada, yapping. But yeah, so that's the first point. So you got connections, meeting a class, new people, and scheduling, and being in art school. That's the first mind map. The second one is demographics in the arts. So demographics in the arts, I just demo G because it's like demographics, but I'm just gonna keep with my purple one. So the first thing that it's stemming from my questions also is, these are like your solid things. So first, obviously, you've got your name. So the name is just a given. Like, it's your name, like who you are. Sometimes I'll have people, they'll go by their artist handle name as just like their artist name, like how musicians are, but like that's not everybody, right? But usually the name that people say, like, usually the name that we say, I'm sorry, sometimes you're gonna hear me slang back and forth into, some people say that I have a Jersey accent, and I don't know how they say that, but anyway, so we got names, so we just be saying our name. I don't know if I had people say pronouns. We're accepted to everybody. Like, honestly, I talk to everybody. That he, she, they, thems, We in art school, so you already know I'm talking to everybody. I'm talking to they, thems, she's, everybody, and then some. You know, I want everybody to be included in the chat. Exactly, non-binary, everybody. I don't think that I make that a question though, so just know that if you want to know. But I'm not seeking, you know what I'm saying? Because that's a little like, babe, I just be asking people. I literally just be stopping people. I literally just stop them. I'm like, hey, like, you want to do this? They're like, yeah, I got a minute. I'm like, yay! I get so hyped. I get so excited. And you guys you're gonna see that. You're gonna see how geeked up I get about this shit. For real. So your name, projects, ooh. You're gonna see how geeked up I get about this shit. For real. So your name, projects, ooh. So depending on the week, this is really like depending on the week. What am I writing, bro? So this is depending on the week. Oh my God, my handwriting's so bad. On the week, you're gonna have people say different answers for this question, because if I ask like, when I ask like, oh, what projects are you working on? Sometimes if it's the beginning of the quarter, it's like just random fluff, like getting to know people, or they might say they don't really know, they're still trying to figure it out, or they're starting new projects because it's like week 1, week 2. And I always, not all of them, but a majority of my intros, and I hope in my editing I list which week I'm doing or which week it is, because this also affects our fashion sense. Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm the same way. Like first like week 1 to week 3, pop out and fits. Like fits. Then week 4, week 5, so week 4, week 5, week 6, I'm just like, I just want to be a little chill. Then like week 7, week 8, week 9, I'm like, I gotta pop out, like, you know? So it really depends on the week, depends on the fit, depends on the project. Sometimes, you know, really depending on, you know, say if it's somebody in fashion, they're working on their senior collection, like it's like a continuous class versus somebody saying they're working on their portfolio or working on a really big project personally at the same time as something else. Or maybe they put themselves in several studios, which I used to be so like, oh my God, don't do 3 studios. But I think I'm gonna be a girl taking 3 studios too. So I need to, you know what I'm saying? Zip the lip. I did not put lip gloss on this, did I? I did. Okay, cute. Also, year, bro. What year? I asked what year, and this is so funny because some people ask, like, some people will answer with like their age. They'll be like 18. I'm like, babe, no, like freshman, sophomore, junior. And we're all like, bro, what? It's like saying their actual age. And I love y'all. Like, I would do that. I would honestly, being caught off guard like that, I would be probably saying like the same thing. But, you know, freshman, sophomore, junior, it's nothing that's like different between like a normal school and a state school when it comes to like years. It's just based off a schedule. We still have freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, grad. It's a 4-year college, and there's still masters that people do here. And I did get people in masters, regular undergrad, so you're gonna hear both people. And I feel like maybe like my cover image should be like decorated differently for the masters people, because they're like a dime a dozen in season 1. I think I've gotten maybe on this hand people in my masters, 5 or less. But I do know some masters people, so master peeps, you want to do a mini interview? I'm here. This is gonna be like major and then minor and then con. So you got your major, right? This is like, it's like all connected together. So you got your major first, then you got your minor, then you have your concentration, right? So this is all shaped together. So sometimes I'll say like major, minor, concentration. That pretty much means like, what's your major? So we have like SCAD books and stuff, like go look up on our website if you want to know and understand like more about people's like making majors if you want to know. But you've got there's different schools too. I think that that's an important thing to know. Like there's like the school of like fine arts, school of communication, school of business. There's different schools that are segmented based off of like your major or what it's under. Like I think mine's like School of Visual Communication. Mine is Advertising and Branding, which is the School of Business Innovation. So that's this one. It's page 60 in the 2023, 2024 course book. So they give us like these course books. They always like decorate them each year. And if you go to a tour, they're gonna give you one of these. You know why? I know, because I did that. I was prepping your bags in the back with one of these books. I don't think they give them out anymore, but I mean, they do have them at our school, and they have, you can always look up online. And then they have the different like creative careers that connect to it. So for my major, it says like digital advertising director, art director, which is me, content creator, copywriter, advertiser, design, brand analysis, social media production, creative techniques. I really love the design of these books, TBH. And it's not just because I'm like, oh my God, I'm such a nerd for my school. No. Like, it's very clear for somebody outside of the arts or understanding what the school is and what it's about to know like what goes into this major or what other fields you can do. Like, this is under the creative career section, which looks like this for people that are like, you didn't even get to show me a clear picture of what you're talking about. This is you see how it says creative careers? Those highlights was pre me being an ad and looking at all the different major options. Let me see what other major options I was looking at. Creative business leadership, that is a major for, I think that's like master's. Luxury brand management, photography. Like photography is School of Visual Communications, but it's also a fine arts major too. So there's that too. So yeah, then you have, so major is advertising and branding. So that's the School of Business Innovation. My minor is in photography. So that's the School of Visual, Visual Communication. And then minor is fashion photography. And concentration is art direction, which art director, even in this book, it says like for creative careers, it aligns with both photography and advertising and branding, because there's so many ways you can go about it as. Yeah, and then for like the younger people in the chat, they're like not in SCAD, or like maybe they're in high school or younger, and they're like, how do you, like, I went to the tour or I'm looking on the website, I don't understand, like, I don't know what to do, like what to choose from. My like piece of advice for you is when you're watching my videos about how one of my questions has to do with giving advice for different people and different mindsets, like from younger, like high school age to older. And I asked this to like all the people that I interview, specifically because, you know, like I'm only one person and I can only give advice to a certain degree, but for people that say are in the major that you're watching the video for, I asked them like, oh, any piece of advice that you would give to like a high schooler, you know, they looking at you. I always like to do a little like baddie intro, like they looking at you, they see what you're doing, you know, and maybe like you're doing photography, or like you're doing design, or you're doing, you know, user experience, and they see you in sports, they see you in bowling, they see you in tennis and stuff, and they want to maybe pursue in that. What you got to say to them? And that's like my interlude to them, me saying like what would you say to a high schooler? Like anything. And then sometimes, because my questions are good, like when people say, oh my gosh, like, oh, that's a good question, I'm like, it's such a journalistic flex, like that shows that like it's, y'all gonna see what I'm talking about. It's exciting. So I'm still on point 2. Let me go. But yeah, so you got your name, your projects, your year, concentration, major, minor, reminder of place. Oh, and then like I had said earlier, you're like at, so your little at, so that could be either your main or your art page. And even though they're saying it, definitely make sure you're, you know, not just listening to the video, but looking at it, because a lot of times I'll not only tag, or I'll QR code, or I will, you know, I'm gonna mention like in my graphics, visual points, like their username or their, like of their profiled or like full, whatever is mentioned based off of, you know, forms and things like that. So that's the first 2 points. Yes. Point 3, fashion is a statement in the current climate and culture. This is the 3rd point, and that's this one right here. Fashion is a statement of current climate and culture. This is when I talk about, this is my connecting point to when I ask people like a 360 or their fit and their story of their fit, like their outfit, and like why they chose to, you know what, I think I might pick a different color for a different type of board. Maybe green. Let's pick green. Okay, fashion is a statement. So the first thing I mainly do is, you know, and before I was starting to do these, when I was looking at other people's, and they were like analyzing what because that's the ones, this is the topic that I see the most when I see like interviews, and I'm pretty sure you guys have seen it on social media too, where they ask people like what their fit, what they're wearing is. So that's a big part. But because like we in an art school and stuff, you know, like I had mentioned before, we may not have the designer tracksuit, but the storyline for these fits are even, you know, sometimes it's just more like college. It's so college nostalgia. Like, we're so nostalgic. Every video that I post has people's separate, I try to, unless they're in a group is different, but I will carve out different sections, so, and separate videos for that person, just for like the demographics of the artist and the fashion, because those are important things of just knowing that individual first before I really get into my like questions. And for other people, maybe they want to look into doing something like this, it's good to have sections and an organized way. I just use a simple notebook, but whatever works, an organized way to ask your questions, especially if you're asking different segments for different people. Like if I didn't have I tell people like my notebook is literally my journalistic Bible. Like I need my notebook because I'm recording on my phone. What you're wearing is important. Let's get back to this. The style that is connected to the class. This is also an interesting point too, because we're at art school. No, I mean, I feel like sometimes somebody may be in like a cute little baggy number because they're in a studio, or they'll have like, I don't think, you're not going to fits from like the foundation classes that I took versus the regular classes varied, because my drawing classes, I remember my one drawing class, you guys, the professor said you had to stay in the whole class. So you know I wasn't going to pop out in some heels, even though I did one time and my ankles were crying. I might put on a slide or something like that. No, you don't have to deal with like a gym class like in high school or whatever. But you do have, you know, maybe you've got somebody like I ran into them and they like a student athlete or whatever. So there's just different things. It really varies about like whatever activities. And sometimes we just be wearing cute fits because maybe formal fits for presentations. You're really gonna, when I document people's fits, it's really based off of their day. Maybe they have a presentation and they gotta come in business attire, or maybe they're in the studio, or maybe they came from a photo shoot and they have their like face beat or things of that nature. So I think the storyline is, I think, the most important thing when I get into that. And that's why I say that it's a current climate in the culture of being artists, and just like what you wear versus just like the everyday people, which is wear that too. But next to like your confidence connects to self, right? So your confidence, how it makes you have that sense of boost and growth in that. And then I have this really just like, you know, how you feel and stuff. And it's just, I also do like a 360 because it's one thing to be like, oh, what's you wearing? But sometimes like as somebody likes fashion, you might have like a basic looking top on the front, but crazy graphics on the back. So you got to give the back detail credit just like the front. That's why I do that like whole like 360 of the fit. Like, and then I think of like the Charlie XCX song, like 360. Da, 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 da. I do. I think of it all the time. I'm like, bro, I literally think it's Charlie XCX's song all the time. But yeah, because there's always like sometimes there's some cool back detailing for some of these people's shirts. And then I have a special section. I call it my tats, my piercings. And then I sometimes I list them out like a checklist. I honestly, when I hear myself more often, it sounds more like I'm checking people in for a doctor's appointment. It's funny. I'm like, tats, piercings, clubs, like clubs, sports, tats, piercings. Yeah. So when you guys hear me say that, just know. Tats meaning like tattoos, obviously. I just say tats, like I abbreviate things. What you're gonna realize is I abbreviate so much. So I'll say tats, piercings. So sometimes, and I always ask people like where they get their piercings from, where they get their tats from. You know, I feel like it's not a stereotypical thing, but a lot of art school, we have this sense of like the creative expression of the body. So you'll always, not always, but you'll see like the tats piercing combo, like the nose piercing, the ear piercing, the tat. I feel like in tats, from at least what I gathered in season 1, there's not a lot of people doing like sleeves of tattoos, but more patchwork tattoos. I call it like patches, like patchwork tattoos, which is like little small detailed tattoos around the body. So if you're down for that too, or some hand tattoos, and I just always shout people out. So yeah, and sometimes people are wearing like their friends' brands and stuff, and they're like, bro, like shout out my brand. So it's always a joy when we because we always like to dress up. And sometimes I will say that it happens in different days too. Somebody's recording on the first like set of questions one day, but somebody didn't really like their fit. So I let them say like, hey, do you want to, like if I'm in a class or something, can you get my fit another day? Because my fit is not, you know, I feel like the common phrase everybody says is like, my fit's so bummy, like my fit's so bummy, like this is top, our top, pants stolen from roommate, shoes, like it's just like I'm the same way, honestly. Yeah, so I'd say tats, piercings, clubs. We do have clubs here. We have a lot of clubs in SCAD. Like, we have so many clubs. At one point, I remember I referenced it in one of the videos, but I talked about, interviewed with, I had laughed about the fact that in COVID era, which when I talk, sometimes I'll reference like not only my background in schooling, but like I was in the midst of like the COVID era when I first came to SCAD. Like I had taken classes up north, and then I moved down here and I did classes in person. So when I was up north, there was this like club Discord chat, and it was like the combination of Savannah and Atlanta campus. It was crazy. It was like a gaming competition. We were all just in the Discord. Everybody was like, oh, do you want to go sign up for here? It was like you had to be there, you know, you just had to be there to know what I was talking about. People in the comments would be like, Nyla, like, what? I still have like clubs that I had signed up for that I don't know why I did that. Like, I don't know why I signed up for it, but it just was cute at the time. So that's number 3. Number 4, types of art in college, uni students. I love it when people say uni, like on my Notion. And you're gonna hear it a lot, but on my Notion, I have uni listed, like uni life. Cause when international people call their college uni, I'm like, bro, uni, like uni, where are you going? I'm going back to uni, like uni. I had a Dunkin' drink this morning, okay? I'm sorry, I'm so giggly. But uni. I watched some video, and it was some comedian, and they're like, how is it like, what's it like being in college? And they're like, you mean uni? Uni. I just like uni better than college. College is very like, But uni, I'm going back to uni. It just makes it a little bit more glamorized. I like uni better. Even though it says Savannah College of Art and Design, some places it says a university, so uni. Uni. We have a lot of real thoughts and real emotions. So what the hell does that mean, Nyla? Or what does that mean? I don't feel like when people are passionate about certain things, I let people talk in their passion. I will say that. Like, I want people to talk. My place is, look, if I got the storage, I want people to yap comfortable and confident about their passions. I don't want to stop them. There's times I stop them and like my mom will like review because she's my momager. So if you're always like seeing my mom, like she's my mom, but she's my momager too. And she'll be like, Nyla, you need to stop interrupting people. But sometimes I'll be getting people because life happens so fast, and being a commuter too, you're having to like, when you see that one person and you know them and you know that maybe they want to do this, I sometimes I'll be stopping. I'll be like, hold on, let me run, get this, come back, ask them, come back. Because also season 1, no one that didn't see me do this doesn't know I've been doing this. You know, like I really wanted to pull a Beyonce rollout on this one. You know, I really did not want to say anything on my social. I don't have any place of me saying anything on my social from the time I had started. I just was like posting up. And I will say for the other content creators, when you're working on good big projects like this, you don't need to document your whole process before you have the project to perfection. I think when you have a Beyonce rollout or a Doechii rollout or Tyler the Creator rollout, like they don't talk, from art directors studying girly, they don't be talking about like, oh, on this day, I'm going to go and make 3 videos and 3 in a row. Like they just drop. They just drop. That's the energy. I just want to drop. I just want to drop. It got to a certain point where I was looking at all the content I had saved and I was just like, I just want to drop. I just want to drop. I felt like at a certain point mentally, even though I wasn't a Playboy Cardi, like it felt like very Playboy Cardi, like when are you going to drop? You said that you were going to drop. And it's so funny because he actually dropped his album. And I know people have different feelings about different artists, but what we had said before, and I said true now, like I separate the personal from them. And you're gonna see it a lot because I be listening to a lot of different music too. But yeah, it's that whole aspect of like dropping and creating a beautiful rollout, and you don't have to say every single moment of the way. I think it makes it more personalized when people realize, oh, look, like y'all are my first collective and I'm just like talking to y'all. Now when the stuff comes up for the following seasons, I will say this and I'll say it here, that QR codes will be up after every video, or a QR code and a link, not heinous QR code, like not like QR code, but it's gonna be a QR code just saying to people that, because sometimes links don't work, and I think that QR codes are like gonna be my best friend too, but I'm gonna try to find ways around it to make sure it's still visually appealing, because I'm posting them on so many platforms. You know, links sometimes don't work. Like when you put a link on Twitter, it works, versus Instagram, when you put it on like in the caption, it doesn't work. So I have to put QR codes because QR codes is like the medium friendly for somebody to just easily screenshot, be able to see. Gotta do what it do. And that's a thing like where it gets into like user experience, which is one of our majors. And I said user experience more often than ever before. I feel like from this, like I learn about people and people learn about me, and we reciprocate. Like what classes they're working on, any advice, just from the like questions that I had talked about. If you're in the college dorms, I have like sections for that, versus if you're a commuter. So it really just depends on like what they have and what they're trying to say. So like I said, and this goes into the next one, in campuses. So sometimes I also include transfer of campuses because we have SCAD now, which is just online. Then we have Lacoste campus, which is in Europe, and Savannah campus, which is in Savannah, Georgia, which is like the 3 hours away that I was talking about. And then we have here at Atlanta campus. And then before that, there is some times when I did talk in my interviews about the Hong Kong campus we used to have. But Honey drip checks, because Honey Honey, symbolism of SCAD, and we're like the SCAD bees. And then drip being like fashion, but also drip in style and aesthetic and effortlessness. And then Barb's, stay in school. That part. Stay in school. Because you not going to be in school if you take more than 5. Like, they don't play about that. You get that email notification that says attendance. Oh, you guys. Bro, I'm in the car. I'm here in the car for mom. She's driving like, Mom, go, go, go. Mom, go, go, go. When I get that email, attendance, blank, blank, blank class. Make sure when you look at your class time that you make sure you look at your class times, and you get, when you're in college, and that's, I think, a standard thing, you want to make sure you're picking classes, if you have the chance to, that are suitable for your schedule. Don't book all 8 a.m.s when you're not a morning bird. You know, give yourself grace. Don't book all late classes when you know that you don't want to be at the school late. Like, put in aspects like, if you're a commuter, transfer, dorms, commuter, real thoughts. And also how you glamorize your life depending on whatever. And what do you mean by that, Nyla? Like, how are you glamorizing your life when you're a transfer, glamorizing your life you're a dorm, glamorizing your commuter? The thing is, you still a uni girl or guy or boy, or he, she, they, them. You know what I'm saying? So if you ain't got that wellness routine, like for me, and you're gonna hear about it a lot, I'm a wellness girl. Like, I always find ways to make sure that I'm fulfilled through the process of me being in art school too. Like, and that's in any school, anybody that's watching this, whatever you're doing, like, maybe it's like, and especially for studio classes, I've got like, you'll see people, sometimes they got their little Netflix up. I don't think I got that on recording, but they got their Netflix up, they watching or they're listening to some music. Sometimes I'm in these studio classes, and we shout out different professors, like shout out to like Professor Feek, like she would have a bomb playlist, and we all just sit and draw, and we just kind of chat with each other in Life Draw, which is like a main model. Do we have both clothed and unclothed models for like drawing classes? Yes. We're in an art school. But this is not just to talk about drawing. Like, my first ad class project was a project about a social media campaign for Patagonia. For business, one of my projects was Krispy Kreme and Insomnia Cookie. For drawing, I had a Micron pen picture that was a screenshot of a Coraline movie from the third perspective. That was so hard, bro. I have it in my room. I'll put a picture right here, bro. It was hard. I always make sure that I have cool projects that I can put in my portfolio that I'll show as much passion to as the things outside of my school projects as I am inside of school. So when I'm talking to, like, say, executives or people that are above me that are looking at my projects, it's not that I'm trying to like fit the mold of somebody else. I'm taking my characteristics and putting it into my projects. And I think the one thing that, whether you're a creative or not, you got to learn is like about us and our mindset is that we do projects majority of the time. I can't speak on everybody's behalf, but we're going to do projects that make us feel fulfilled. So then when our creative process comes, it's things that we're happy doing, you know? We're happy doing the 5-hour studio work, say if they're like an animator and they're saying, or an illustrator. We're fine doing those drawing and those sketches to make sure we have the perfect lines and the perfect clean cuts. We're fine, you know, it's a lot. We're not always fine mentally. That's why I'm saying you got to make sure you go to the gym, you get some sleep, you focus on your wellness, you go outside. You got to do things to make sure that you're out. I remember, art interview and that kept it really real about being a student athlete and still making sure you have to balance and make sure you get your GPA, get your grades done. Like, it's not all fun and games, and you getting the perspective of like high school athletes. You want to go to SCAD and you want to go and do that sport, and you got maybe somebody that's looking at their major. Now, I will say this, because this is season 1, got the people that just happened to be student athletes, and they had asked, and I asked them, I ask everybody if they're student athletes. So sometimes I'll say sports, like sports, this, that, the third, and they're like, oh my God, sports, no, I wouldn't do sports. But I ask everybody because you never know, maybe no one's gonna be holding a bowling ball because they're in bowling and we're in art school. So you don't know who's in what. So it's just cool to ask. So I get that hand. Last night when I was taking my notes, this is exactly why I added this section. I said, we all hear about the student athletes in the state schools, say in the community college or in the Ivy League schools, etc. schools, but we don't hear about the student athlete in the art school. That's why I call it new narrative unlock, because it's a new narrative that you don't hear. I haven't heard yet from the bigger forms of media, the art student that's a student athlete and what that's like. I feel like you hear a lot of times, like I had mentioned in my quote, you don't hear the art student. So I felt like, you know what? As a student athlete prior myself, I think I would be the best person to do this for. And also the importance of balance. Like being an interviewer is like, you're gonna deal with some no's. You're gonna deal with some people that say they don't want to do it, but they love the fact of being a part of it. And I think also as a journalist, you got to realize, like, even though maybe you couldn't count that interview or you couldn't count that thing because maybe it fell through, that doesn't mean that you didn't get any experience from it. Like, even though maybe I have a good amount of yeses, but I also have some people that are like, actually, this may actually not be for me. That's still mentally, Nyla, no matter if the people all accept or a few or have or whatever, I talked to 115-20 people, period. And that's something that I can say I'm accomplished with in the midst of me being in the quarter too. It wasn't like I was like on a break and I had all these people around me. No, like I say when in my BTS, they're like, oh my gosh, are we missing our break? Because we have like 5-minute breaks. So sometimes you're gonna get the mix of 10-20 days of me getting an interview, but that's not because I don't want to finish theirs in a day. It's truly because I'm working around people's schedules, my schedule, being a student. Like, I'm giving you real raw, like, this isn't no, okay, on this date and this date. Like, some of them are planned, I will say. Like, some of mine were planned, but that's like this much compared to the majority. I remember I was in my junior year and I was very stressed and like figuring out what school to go to. I looked at 10 schools. Okay, like you want to get me, you've got to get real. Like some people, and I didn't ask like how many people's like schools people looked at in my interview, but I can say that I looked at 10 schools. And I looked at schools throughout the lineup. I will put a screenshot of the list of schools because I don't mind saying them. And I got accepted to 7 out of 10. I don't want to say which ones I got into versus not. But I will say I looked at and applied to 10 schools. Like that was the number of slots. And even though SCAD is both like SAT, ACT optional, that doesn't excuse, say, scholarships and stuff. And I don't get into scholarship talk in my thing. So if you're trying to look at, oh, like my interviews when it gets to the specifically high school perspective of like scholarship talk, no, because you got to think of it from somebody that's maybe talking to, I'm a new person to somebody else. I don't want to ask somebody as personal as scholarships to like a person I just met. But the things that I will ask to the high school student that you'll maybe get that type of advice from, that maybe you're a little bit far. I was 16 hours away. Jersey versus Georgia is 16 hours drive, back and forth. I did that 3 times when I was in freshman year to move down here, moving my stuff back and forth between weekends while in a quarter, submitting projects and everything at the same time too. That's the dedication of work. You gotta say that like you really committed to something. I remember I would listen to Joel Osteen messages. I was just talking to my mom about this. Listen to Joel Osteen messages every day when I was driving on the way to high school, just praying that I would just like things would work out. I get to my school, this, that, the third, because I missed like a good brief of like the first 2-3 weeks in the quarter and the first quarter of experiences because I was up north. So it was important for me to get that question in of having high school perspective. What's the high school, what's any advice? You know, you're in XYZ major, somebody's looking at you, they're in XYZ major, what's any advice or thing you'd say? And a lot of times they're gonna say things like, work on it early. Like, work and build the portfolio early. You might get some reminders of like that professor, or that, we say professors, that teacher in high school, or that coach, or that this, or like get better at time manage, or you're gonna hear stuff from my peers that you probably heard from the older adults that you're trying to turn a blind eye to. It's gonna be your subtle reminder, freshmen, incoming freshmen, that like, get it, you don't gotta be all the way together, but don't come in thinking that you gonna play around and play. Be real with yourself. And I think that getting that high school perspective is cool, good, and necessary. I put that in there because why? I did the tours. So who was my majority people that I was talking to? High schoolers. You see how all this aligns? Exactly, you guys. This video is an hour. It's an hour where you're gonna really hear everything under the sun. And as you've heard, like, this is so much yapping. Girl's gotta get hydrated. I've been yapping so much. It's not a big point of mine. Maybe for the new season, I can add things about how to manage a social life, even though social life is not the priority when you come to school, not even in art school, you guys. It's about getting your grades and your school together. And I'm a victim to it too. Sometimes I get very wrapped into my content creating, and my mom's like, your school. The school is the first thing. School is first, content is second. So, honey, get school together, content second. 9, oh, I talked a lot here. Speaking things into existence. It is important for me to add the journalistic POV to show not only a point of when somebody achieves success, that they would want to work here, or we would like to be working with XYZ here, but it was important to say that these are mentors or things that help pave the way into our interests and our guidance in the majors, minors, concentrations that we picked, etc., as well as this being considered a fun journalistic flex of being like first on record to having things that state that could very well be happening in the future for people. This is, in conclusion, really saying, speaking it into existence. One of my questions, did I use blue? I think I used blue. I was gonna use orange. One of my questions is dream collaboration. That's the thing that I'm referencing. I added my dream collab question because of what I had just said. It's not because of, oh, this is where I think that I'm gonna hit this point of success in order to get to this dream collaboration. I added the dream collaboration because you get to hear like that this is a person that was really interesting, or maybe was a mentor to me, or maybe helped guide me into the things that I am seeing and want to do today, you know? And that dream collab really paved the way in that. So speaking it into existence and having it on record says it's like 5-6 years down the line, and they actually do work with their dream collaborator. Guess who got the record first? Your girl Nyla, Nyla's Multimedia. That's gonna be beautiful. I can't wait for that to happen, because no matter whether people feel really confident about their work or not, when I go to whoever I go up to, it's for the reason that I see a light in them and whatever they're doing. And I've went up to people say they are in the midst, they in their grind and in the middle of talking to, or in the middle of working, they got their headphones on, or maybe in a group. I don't really, the limits of me, there's no real limits in who I go up to when I talk to. I mean, I talk to people that I just feel like I might be interested, but I also just talk to whoever I feel like I want to talk. I don't let a scenario stop me from trying to go up and talk to somebody, is what I'm trying to say. And you get to know somebody from a dream of collaboration, because it's also a good journalistic flex, because when people become successful and they try to dig up the archives, it's good to have the dream collab already on record now, because you're like, I said it first. I knew it was gonna happen. It's like when you predict your favorite artist was gonna do something, and then they did it, and then like you're like, oh my gosh, like they did it, So that's why I had it. My final part is Unity and Wildcard Q. This was a reference to a 5 artist question. This could be musicians, creatives, photographers, directors, whatever. This is my wildcard question because, and I had stated here, unity of all is Unity and Wildcard Q. This was a reference to a 5 artist question. This could be musicians, creatives, photographers, directors, whatever. This is my wildcard question because, and I had stated here, unity of all the students, voices matter, just like all of the other types of college students and different ways. So wild cards of artists is the way I say industry people that are in the fields, whether they're in the same field or not, that we see you. Just keep on doing what you're doing, because if you're in somebody's top 5 for big people or small people or whoever they have in their list of their 5 artists, sometimes people went above and beyond. I have musicians and I have a music section that I reference a lot to in my interviews, where I say, if it's a music, I'll say specific songs that that was my way of saying, like, industry people, us art students, we love your music too. Like, we also should definitely be included in a conversation. And also a hint to musicians in the chat, I would love to see in the future as just saying it into existence, and that's what I'm saying here. More musicians collaborating with art students. Like, when I saw the notation that SCAD had posted, how the creator working with SCAD art students, that made me feel so, and even just being like in Black art students, but just like, that made me feel so good, because we get overlooked. Like, and that's my main thing, is like, just like y'all states and Ivies and all this other stuff, we a student, just like y'all, we just are in a different type of field. We may not be going to Staples for paper or pens. We go to a Blick, or we go to XYZ, or a field trip to the Fashion Arts Museum or whatever. But work is work. Work is work, and we wouldn't get any of the media or things that we have today. Like, we have furniture and interior design. Arts is everywhere, and my wild card is really for not only musicians, it's for whoever, any of these majors. I've had some people say film, like directors that they really love, and they'll mention their films. I've had people say, painters, obviously. Not all of them say painters. I've had people say like animators. Or I've had some people say companies that they really love, like they just like what they're doing right now. Or just, or illustrators or actors, because we have an acting major here, or illustrators, or whoever, interior design, or whatever we look at. And I think that this wild card is not to, expose somebody's top 5, or because it really isn't people's top 5. It's not ranked or in any way. And I also suggest for future people, when I ask my wild card, it's cool to mention your wild card of 5, because you never know who's watching, and maybe that one artist that you really like is gonna potentially come across your video And because I'm gonna tag everybody, I tell people I want to tag industry people that you guys say too, to let them know, like, hey, like, you know, work with them. Like I said, my brand's about putting people on, and I don't want to just have me, you know, looking cute in the bathroom and doing little things. I want to really try to find ways to wrap it all together. But this was so much fun yapping with you guys. And even though this is the close up of this video, that's the best part, is saying that now that you watch this, I don't know how long this dissertation is, but forever, you know, comment below a honey emoji if you got into the end of this video. I'm a little anxious to say that because I haven't yet gotten the numbers to be doing things like this, but I don't care. I know this is gonna be like a main video, so put a honey in the comments if you know, honey emoji and a bee emoji in the comments if you got to the end of this video. And really enjoy my interviews. Like I said before, the full videos will be up. Really enjoy my interviews. Like I said before, the full videos will be up. Definitely, here's QR codes for SCAD people, and I also had some potential visitors too. And I don't know how I want to do for people say out to be a general form that I always use, and it's gonna be this one right here. So if you are say, oh my gosh, I want to go and do one of these, like you sold me, Nyla. You sold me into wanting to do one of these. Just fill out the little form, job form, because when I get a job form, it's like magical. I'll be going through the most stressful day at school, and then when somebody submits their job form saying they want to have my interview submitted, at least into the first part before I like get into editing and all that, I'm like, job form. My mom always like calls me. She's like, you got another job form? I'm like, I got a job form. I got a job form. I got a job form. It's like a little celebration, you know? So really necessary for me to give you guys the tea before I start posting people's full interviews, and you're like, whoa, I didn't know that I was out here doing interviews with her peers. Yep, I just wanted to do a proper rollout. So this is my rollout. So what are my current stickers on my Stanley that I'm holding in every video? This one is a CMYK sticker. If you don't know CMYK, it's the printer format, or just the standard colors for everything. It's yellow, magenta, cyan, and then key being black. So all those work together. It's your 3 primary, then your secondary, and then the center is black, your key. And then this is my MTV, but I hope something when that comes is to, I see big things though for this project. I definitely see booklets. I see just big things. I see like spreads and based in InDesign. Like I see really cool works stemming from this beautiful project, so stay tuned. Love you guys, Miles Multimedia, love Chic Lifestyle. Shout out in the comments if you guys found me from Love Chic Lifestyle or Niles Multimedia, or maybe you're one of my peers in class or whatever. Anyways, bye you guys, thank you so much. Love you guys, Niles Multimedia fam, Love Chic Lifestyle fam. Can't wait to put the stuff out there. Just wanted to roll it out. I want the aesthetic to be, when I have enough videos out, a binge-worthy series, honestly. Like I want it to feel like I'm sitting down, I've got like 5, 6 interviews to watch. So if some videos are like an hour long and they're the full version, look, you want to go and watch somebody's interview? I can remember recording interviews that were hour long. And I just thankful for anybody that wanted to incorporate or tried, and anybody that's been a part of this project, really been loving and supporting, and just, you guys just make me so happy and excited to do this. And I love to get make sure you keep on doing this. Like, this is going to be so good. Like, I can see it going places. I love to get that, you guys, those comments from you guys. Let me stop yapping. Bye, you guys. Bye, guys. Love you. Much love. Media Princess out. Bye.
My loving, caring road cat Nugget, who has always been by my side every all-nighter, every video, watched me record every experience, even this one where I blessed him and when he was sneezing. From the time I was in first grade, when I was really little, I used to beg my parents for a cat daily, and I started my love for research, all about dreaming of having this cat. And I would go on all these different platforms and watch all these different videos, and I really started turning into the person I was today from researching cats and researching Nugget and getting Nugget. Nugget came from North Shore Animal League in New York, and he had a brother named Mickey. The people there, and I still remember it, said that his name was came from or was inspired by McDonald's, which is like Nugget and McNugget McDonald's, which still cracks me up to this day. But Nugget was more than just a cat. I feel like he's had the alley cat mentality, always had something I was telling him not to do that he did anyway. But he taught me to take care of myself, as these photos or a chronological set of events and memories. One thing is for certain, he was a cat, but I treated him like a sibling, as I'm an only child, and he definitely wanted to be a human in every form of imagination. That's why I say that he taught me to live my life to the fullest, wishing nothing but many more sunrises and sunsets for him to watch and places for him to go. I thank you, my little Moosey, for always wanting to be the center subject in my high school photography and art academy classes, when everything was so nerve-wracking being in photography, and just always being there for me right by my side. Much love.